One of these things is not like the other. One of these things just doesn't belong. Can you tell me which of these is hit by the ban list? Before I finish my list. Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Mr. here. Today we are back for Magoroku Fugen. That's right, we are actually going back to finish what we didn't do in VCall because we knew the Japanese rulings were too hard. As usual, because Nubatama, I am simply too fat to sneak around. So today we have Nami.
Hey guys.
So I've actually played this list a bit, and I've had the honor of actually playtesting this with 3 different Nubatama, relatively skilled players, depending on what skill means to you. But today we are back to cover Magoroku Fugen post ban list, because as you probably know, this deck has been hit by the ban list, not because it's topping, not because it's good, but because of a ruling. So they just wanted to hit this. So it's gonna be a very quick deck profile because frankly, Fugen is one of the easier bosses to play for Nubatama, I would say. It has its intricacies. It is not it's not an idiot-proof deck like Luwak, but I would say other than that, it is quite rewarding. It's relatively cheap as well, but it's not everyone's cup of tea. So if you are interested in other stuff like Hanzo, do check that deck out because that deck is really good. But beyond that, let's actually just get started right away into Magoroku Fugen.
Okay, so for the grade 3s, we play 4 copies of Magoroku Fugen, 4 copies of Gamiobu, and 4 copies of the Hill Guardian. So, let's go through Magoroku Fugen first. So he has 3 abilities. This guy is your boss monster. The first ability is continuous. During your turn, all of your front row units gain plus 5k for each token, evil decoy token you have. So even if your evil decoy tokens are in the front row, the back row, doesn't matter. As long as you have a token on the field, you are going to gain power for the front row.
A token looks like this. So as you probably know, there is the reprint, and this is the normal version you can get for the last 3 years of V. So if you do actually invest in this set, you can actually get your hands on quite a lot of the high rare version, which is nice, but it's okay to get the base version. It's still quite a nice card.
Yeah. His second ability is continuous. If your back row has 3 or more evil decoy tokens, and your opponent is grade 3 or greater, your front row will gain an additional crit. Welcome to playing Luan.
You just need 3 of this, and you are playing Superior Grand Gallop.
Yes. It's very fun.
Very fun.
His third ability...
That's where the ruling hell starts.
Yes.
So let's go slowly.
Whenever a rear guard is returned to your hand, you can superior call a token to an open rearguard circle.
Has to be open.
Yes. And once you do, you can choose to cost Counterblast 1 and create an imaginary gift Protect 2. Protect 2 specifically.
No, you can choose 1. But then the ruling hell begins.
No, it specifically states on the card.
Does it?
It will not be put if you choose Protect 1.
Yeah, then you can just add it back to your hand. That's where that whole ruling began.
Yeah. Just put it on that circle, but yeah.
But you know what? If you are here to play Protect 1, don't play this deck.
Yes.
You're supposed to play this around Protect 2. That was the whole point of the evil decoy tokens, that was the whole point of Hanzo. Honestly, I don't exactly remember the entire debate of what was the ruling, and frankly I just don't care because like this is a bad deck. don't sweat. The one card that could have abused your Protect is gone, so just don't care about it. Play it the way it's meant to be, which is Protect 2.
Compared to Fugen, which is Protect which plays Protect 2 and Evil Decoy tokens, Hanzo's plays usually Protect 1 and Evil Decoy tokens.
Yeah,
because Hanzo uses tokens as more of a resource while Fugen uses as defense. So you just need to make the distinction and you'll be fine.
Yep.
Okay, next is our support grade 3 and All-Star. Evil
Cenobite Gamiobu.
Yeah.
Gamiobu. Yeah, my English not good.
Yep, so he has 2 effects.
Yes.
The first effect is act Soul Blast 1 and return this card to your hand and call an evil decoy token.
Yep, just 1.
You get to call 1 evil decoy token. His second so this is why this card has amazing synergy with Fugen, especially. So when it comes to Fugen, his skill states that whenever you return a rearguard to your hand, you get to create 1 token.
Yes.
And Gamiobu, when you use his effect, you create another token.
So for 1 Soul Blast, you get 2.
Yes, this is highly efficient, which allows you to fulfill 2/3 of the way to the +1 crit of Fugen.
Yeah.
And
I mean, you have your opponent has big grade.
yes, and as you'll see later, there are a lot of cards in this deck that likes to abuse tokens as a resource. So we will go through that later, but for now, this is an amazing support card. His second ability is, for some reason, he's on Rearguard Circle. When your opponent decides to attack into him, you can substitute the entire attack into one evil decoy token and bounce this card to hand.
So goodbye to everyone who watched my Dragonic Kaiser for Million Deck profile. I dearly love all of you. Please stay safe, drink water, and remember your life isn't worth it. Last but not least, we also play for Heal Guards. I mean, it's very frank to say why we are playing the Heal Guards because, you don't get a great early game besides your grade 2 gaming, but really beyond that aside, you need to really stay alive. Your defense is really heavily covered by Magoroku Fugen and his endless streams of Protect 2. So you don't need to worry about actually, your end game defense. It's really quite covered. So playing more copies of Momio Congo is really better because, it's a Heal Guard. And ultimately, you can't say, I can't afford it because it got reprinted, so it's actually quite affordable.
Just to note, if you're playing Hanzo, you'd rather play the grade 0 heal triggers.
Yeah, you'd rather play the grade 0 heal in case you need to retire it.
Yeah.
And you want the early game counter blast because it's Zangetsu and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's still not that bad. It's not that bad. Okay.
Moving on to the grade 2s. We are playing 2 copies of Akuro, 2 copies of Magatsu Guild, 4 copies of Yamashibuki, and 4 copies of Jaijin.
Yep. So let's break it down real quick. You notice here for the very first time, Nubatama has moved away from its world-breaking definitive formula of a 46-card deck because we're only playing 2 copies of Magatsu Guild. Now the reason is very simple. Fugen is very specialized as a boss, hyper-specialized in fact. And with the ban list, you don't really have time to play, entire safe decks and then sit down and clap your hands as the Ildona player is busy preparing for you to die. So the reason why we only play 2 Gale is because Gale is still one of the best cards in the format. The only thing is that you don't actually have space to play 4, so it's better you play 2. But what does this world-breaking staple do? When placed on VLR, Card Blast 1, Soul Blast 1, you draw a card and he gains 6. So he instantly gains another 6k, he can hop over for your turn 2 turns, he can hop over for your turn 3 turns. It's just good whenever you play it and you get to draw a card. So it's a recycle and, it's nice to have a 15k beater on the field. At the end of the bell that is unit attacks, you can slide him to the soul and return one of your rearguards to hand. With this, the entire skill of Magatsu Gale is self-serving. You lose 1 card, but you also drew a card. And you also get to move a card back to the hand at the end of the battle that this unit attacked. So for every Nubatama deck out there, this card is an absolute gold mine and you are required to play 4 off in every Nubatama deck. Except for this one, because I feel that there is enough interesting text and cards that you can play that would warrant you to not needing to play a 46 card deck. And that would be this deck. But if you still are not very comfortable with the text, you would see the tech actually has a name. His name is Akurao. But if you're not actually comfortable with playing such a card, then you can still go back and play your 4 Magatsu Gale and it's perfectly fine.
Okay, and you may be asking, what is this special tech we have? Well, let me explain to you what Akura's skill is. So, when placed, you can retire 2 grade 0 units.
Including tokens?
Yes. And you get to draw a card.
Wow.
And he gains 15k and is able to attack from the back row. Congratulations, your Fugen deck went from a 3 attack deck to a 4 attack deck. So this one guy allows you to give additional pressure to Fugen where he otherwise wouldn't have. Because normally, you would see Fugen and think, hey, it's safe because they only have 3 attacks. I only need to plan out 3 guards. But you need more pressure in Fugen. And this guy provides it perfectly.
Yeah, he covers a lot of the assets of Fugen that you didn't normally have pre-ban list or hell, pre-reveal. Because you can actually time this in a way that this can be your first attack. If I'm getting
yes,
for your first attack, and then you chain this instantly the next attack with Yamashibuki who will bounce him back the hand and call 2 tokens.
Yes, and
Fugen will then trigger off because you now have a full board of 3, initiating the superior Grand Gallop effect. So that's technically how this deck is supposed to work. If you need other ways to bounce, you can rely on an ultra staple, Magatsu Gale, but Yamashibuki is the most, I would say, safest way? Best way? It's our best way, yeah.
He is the most resource efficient way.
Yeah, to do it. So generally speaking, that's how you play around Akurao. You just set up a board of 2 grade 2s, 2 grade 0s, sack them off, swing from the back row, initiate your front row combat, one will bounce back Akurao, you spawn the board, you continue your turn as per normal.
Yeah, this is where Gami Yobyu comes in.
Because he builds a board of 2 for practically free.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's basically how this version of Fugen that we're playing works. It's a multi-attack deck in a deck that cannot multi-attack. And it's very, very specific in the combo, as you can see. There is no substitute for this combo. You either play this combo or you just don't play this combo. And we feel that it's quite worth your time, and that's why we're actually presenting it here today.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Now, I'll go over the best token generator in this deck currently, which is Yamashibuki.
Not reprinted, by the way. Not reprinted.
Not reprinted.
Not reprinted, by the way.
It's only in the Hanzo V call, so get it while you can. Anyway, going through his skills, first ability is continuous. He gets plus 5k for each of your tokens.
Grade 0 rearguards.
Grade 0 rearguard.
Grade 0 rearguards.
Yes, grade 0
It's a
rearguard.
rearguard only skill, but that's fine.
He gets big because Fugen not only pumps him by 15k, he also pumps himself by 15k, which allows you to hit great numbers.
Yeah.
And since you're playing Protect 2-2, he'll hit 44 pretty easily.
Yes.
With 2 crit. So your opponent better have a decent amount of shield in their hand.
Yes, I thoroughly agree.
His second effect is when it attacks, you can counterblast 1 and return a rearguard to your hand to create 2 evil decoy tokens. So, this guy converts 1 counterblast into 2 tokens, and if you are on Fugen, he converts 1 counterblast into 3 tokens. This token creation effect is a Vanguard rearguard ability. So, when you can even use him early game, which allows you to put up more, to have a bit more defense early game.
Yes.
So honestly, overall, this guy is an amazing card for this deck because you are able to instantly fulfill the conditions mid battle phase. So your entire front row will suddenly gain a crit out of nowhere, and sometimes your opponent isn't prepared for it.
Yep, and that's pretty much that card.
Okay.
So, next one is Jaijin.
Okay, so the most famous countercharge counterblast countercharger is Sakura Fubuki.
Let's go.
However, we opt not to play Sakura Fubuki in this deck specifically.
Sakura Fubuki is another one of those Nubatama staples that makes it into a literal 42 card deck at this point because it's just that good and that renowned. But in this deck, we've opted not to use him because we like to play a countercharger that can specifically serve the needs of our fellow brothers in wood. So,
yes.
Yeah, that's literally why we are playing Jaijin.
Okay, so let me go through Jaijin's effect. Jaijin's effect is when he attacks, if you have called 2 or more grade 0s this turn, he gains 5k. Then you can put him into soul, and countercharge 1 at the end of the battle.
Yep.
So, Jaijin is great for this deck because not only does he generate countercharge, he also generates a soul, which
matters because Fugen players have no soul.
Yes, you can burn through your soul pretty fast with not only Gami Obu but the great ones that we'll go through later. So, this deck, you need to be able to play around with your resources properly, and Jaijin allows you to bolster your resources in a way that doesn't really hinder your own deck's playstyle, because you're already generating a bunch of tokens in a turn. So Jaijin just plays onto that and allows you to countercharge on top of the sheer amount of pressure that you're already putting out. And he also gains 5k, so he'll be with Fugen and 3 tokens in the back row, 29k beater. And if he's on Protect 2, he'll be a 34k beater, which most of the time asks for 2 cards from your opponent's hand.
And that's good. Moving on to our grade 1s, let's speed through this a bit faster, shall we? Our grade 1s, we play 3 copies of Katari Gitsune, 3 copies of Stealth Beast Magami, 3 copies of Stealth Dragon Unen, Mangatsu Storm Reverse, and then lastly we play 4 copies of a card you've probably never seen before. And that's gonna be Evil Stealth Dragon Gyokusen. So I'm just gonna cut through this really quickly. Katari Kitsune is your very typical grade 3 searcher. His condition to gain the extra power is by, you having a token unit. So it counts for your evil decoy token, your domination token. Simple as that. We play 3 because you notice this grade 1 ratio is very well split. We are focusing on a lot of different ways to ensure consistency and beat down, and just to pave the way for this guy, whom we will get to at the end of this section.
Next is what I think is the best grade 1 in the entirety of Nubatama V, which is Stealth Dragon Unen. He has two very complex effects.
Complex? Okay, carry on.
Anyway, his first effect is when he is rolled upon,
Yes.
you can Soul Blast 1 and reveal a grade 3 normal unit from your hand.
Yes.
Then,
So heal guards don't count here.
yes. Then you can search your deck for any grade 3 unit, reveal it and add it to your hand, then shuffle your deck. Then you put any card from your hand to the bottom of the deck. It's a long skill, but basically you get to tutor for any grade 3 as long as you have a different grade 3 in your hand.
Yes. So you just practically infinite consistency for any grade you're looking for, as long as you have an existing copy. It's a lot like your old Strike Forders. But this only happens when it is rolled upon. So you actually need to make sure that Unen is on the Vanguard Circle. So why don't you play that 4? Because it doesn't really serve big of a purpose besides the right target. If you just don't really see Unen, you just don't really get this effect. So, and we have much more important cards dying for this space like Gyokusen and Magmi. So honestly, it's fine to play at 3. Maybe you might want to cut one copy of Katari Kitsune for Unen, but I'm personally just not happy with that. So it's fine to play Unen at 3. Unen's second skill is at the end of the battle, this unit boosts a rear guard. You slide the boosted unit to soul, choose 2 of your rear guards, and then you return them to the hand. Return them to the hand, return them to the hand. So it's really as simple as that, but I would say this is one of the worst ways to actually put cards back to the hand. You'd rather use Yamashibuki.
On situations where you are running low in resources, this is an okay way.
'Cause it's
but if you do have the resources, this is definitely
Not-
not the optimal way you want to return rear guards to your hand. So basically, this guy just bolsters your a floor and allows you to have a bit higher floor, so your deck doesn't fail as much.
Yeah.
So it's more of a consistency tool, and it allows you to bounce back during your low resource Fugen turns.
Moving on really quickly is Stealth Beast Magami. Magami has 2 skills on the rear guard, so don't ride him. You retire one of your grade 0 units and you soul charge 1. So this plays out the fact that you usually spend Soul Blast with stuff like this guy to actually ensure you can build a board. If you're running low on Soul Blast, you can just sack off one of the tokens and trade it back into a nice soul.
Just so you know, if you use Gyokusen, you create 2 tokens. You use Magami, you retire 1 token, soul charge 1. So you've just basically generated a token for free.
Yes. And of course, at the end of the battle that this unit boosts a rear guard, you Soul Blast 1, what a surprise. Return this unit and the boosted rear guard back to your hand. Not a great way to return units back to the hand, but it's still okay. As long as you return units back to the hand, Fugen will keep on triggering, so it's nice and dandy. Not a bad card, but it's it's more optional in my opinion.
Yes.
And we've been paving a way for a promo. As said by a lot of my friends in the English format, promos are hard to find, but I have 4 here. It's Evil Stealth Dragon Gyokusen.
It got printed in the Fugen set, so you can just get 4 from
Yeah,
it.
just buy from there.
Yeah. Anyway, this card is really good,
Yes.
but it has 2 effects. First, in the drop zone,
Drop so.
when your grade 3 Vanguard is placed, you can counterblast 1. So basically when you ride your grade 3, you can counterblast 1 and choose a grade 3 in your soul and return it to your hand. If
And
you
move this card back to the hand if you want, in case. It's either or. It's either or effect. So
Yeah.
you either just put it back to the hand, or you choose a grade 3 and slide it into your soul. If you select the option to put a card from your soul into your hand, if you put a card from your soul into your hand, yeah, you have to bind this card. So yeah, overall, basically speaking, it's
you don't ever use this card to get back a grade 3 from your soul.
yeah, because you don't need it.
Yeah, you only ever use it. You only ever use the first skill if you are running low on cards and you have the counter blast to spare, and you just take it back in hand at the start of your turn, which allows you to get more plays out. But the important thing is his second effect,
Yes.
which is when this card is returned from rearguard circle to your hand, you can Soul Blast one and call 2 evil decoy tokens to your open rearguard circles.
So now every card that we play in the grade 1 ratio suddenly makes sense because we're just trying to chain Yoku-san into building our board during the battle phase. Which is nice, it's a lot like Yamashibuki, but you only have 4 copies of that in the deck. So there are other ways that you can actually build a board to effectively ensure that if you would like to use Akurao, you actually don't lose out. And when you bounce Akurao back to hand to ensure that your back row can be filled with grade 0 tokens, it ensures that Akurao can actually make a debut next turn. And so this entire deck just repeats this on loop, ensuring that you have a practical tank of a 4 attack deck. And yeah, that's basically how the entire bread and butter of this deck looks like. From start to finish, as you can see, the pieces are all really sensitive. Some cards can be swapped out, some cards not so much. But yeah, that's essentially the deck for Fugen.
Feel free to experiment because during the set we did get our first first Hanzo boss, Evil Star Dragon Akatsuki Hanzo. We had a lot of token support.
Yeah.
So there are some cards that each player might find more comfortable to use. Some cards where you think, hey, it helps me with consistency. Feel free to experiment and test it out. This is just a skeleton, and this is how I prefer to play my deck.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to the grade zeros.
Our grade zeros and the triggers. Our grade zeros, we obviously play 8 crits.
4 crit.
No. Oh yeah, it's 4 crits, my bad. 4 crits here. And then we play 4 draw PG. Then we also, just so we remember, we play 4 heal guards and a starter.
Okay, so we play 4 crits because we need some pressure. But the reason why we play 8 draw 4 crit is because as you've seen from the deck profile so far, this deck is very piece reliant.
Yeah.
And we need to see our cards as much as possible. We play draw PGs because we need to because this is a protect 2 deck. Against decks that have bigger attacks, you are going to need to use the PG.
Yep.
And the draw triggers, since the deck can use grade zeros at cost, you can always just call down the normal draw triggers and use them to pay for your cost.
If you really just can't generate a token, which is why we recommended as well to play grade 0 heals if you actually can't find the heal guardians, because more rather than not, it also serves a benefit as well.
Okay, I'm playing 2 different copies of critical triggers, just to mess with your opponent. It's hilarious if they think you have more crits than you actually do. Because sometimes, if you're playing in a tournament, the information war can help.
Yes. And yes, that actually wraps it up on our Magoroku Fugen deck profile. As you can tell, we really have tried our utmost because this is a boss that just really is quite fun. But it's been hampered by rulings, ban lists, and practically everyone in this game. So yeah, that's how we hope that it's one way we can actually effectively play Magoroku Fugen. Are there other ways to play this deck? Absolutely, because Fugen is existing in a whole pile of token support, which practically a lot of later V in Nubatama actually has, like what you mentioned from the first Hanzo set. So it really is quite a fortunate time to be a wood enjoyer because you can actually play so many different variants of it. We've only touched the tip of the iceberg by trying to fit in tech like Akurao into a relatively more consistent style beating that you've seen from the early waves of V-Call. Now we are trying our best to just try and innovate with this deck because there's just so much design space to play with. Is this deck worth picking up? Yes, in fact, if you enjoy more technical style gameplay, that still rewards you in a monkey setup. But if you are just not interested in working hard or just not interested in losing about 40-50% of the time, then this is not the deck for you.
Yeah, one major weakness with this deck is your opponent can interact with your defense.
Yes.
So if your opponent has any form of control, well, good luck. You're going to have to play around that. So you just plan around your the game plan between you and your opponent. And I mean
you can opt for Protect 1. You just can't spam the addition of the Protect 1.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.
Thanks, guys.